impact on the city for false 911 calls?
Yes.
And what is that impact?
It can be, when there's no emergency present, we can,
And I judicially recognize the existence of that provision of law.
emergency is if she was shot, stabbed, being assaulted, I describe those as emergencies.
And are you explaining situations that need immediate assistance?
Yes.
And is there a way to reach out to the city to report things that are non-emergency?
I believe so, like down in 311.
Thank you. Pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Ms. Clark, you now have the opportunity to ask Officer Ward questions.
Okay. You stated that you didn't recall what the emergency, if it was an emergency. Is that correct?
Can you rephrase your question, please?
You stated that they asked you, were you aware of any emergency? When not,
Okay.
you stated you didn't recall?
I don't remember the question she asked me.
Okay. Were you aware of an emergency at that moment? Were you aware of any emergency?
No.
Okay, you weren't aware of an emergency. You stated earlier that you didn't recall.
Right.
Okay. In your opinion, if police have detained a mother for reporting child abuse and made false statements and slandered and tampered with evidence a multitude of times and have kept her and deprived her of her right to her child,
Objection,
that,
Your Honor. Relevance.
I thought that would be an emergency. Is that no longer emergency?
I think, well, the objection of relevance is overruled. You can answer the question, sir.
Can you repeat the question again?
Okay. If a mother was detained trying to protect her daughter and get her out of child abuse, and then in addition, the police had the whole department was tampering with evidence, slandering the woman, keeping her away from her child, slandering her, cutting off body cams. If she has been deprived of her child in a physically abusive and emotionally abusive environment, would that be considered an emergency to you? If the government was sabotaging a parent's right to her child and also detained her multiple times out of malice?
Not at the moment, no.
Okay, so where would you think that a party would need to report being targeted and slandered by the police department and deprived of constitutional rights? What is a proper location to report those crimes that the police officers are committing?
Police station.
I was deprived of that right. So I was given cited for trying to report crimes that the police were committing. So that was not a right that I was given. So what are alternatives when police tamper with evidence and enforce criminal behavior or criminal activity? So if police decide to do that, what are the options if they're depriving that party of their right to report crimes for years and law enforcement? What are other avenues that you recommend instead of giving the woman citations for trying to get law enforcement? It is a crime to deprive someone of law enforcement in a conspiracy. That is criminal. Not reporting suspected child abuse is a crime.
The defendant is testifying.
Sustained. Ma'am, as I told you earlier, this is your opportunity to ask Officer Ward questions or making statements.
So where would you recommend that the party report criminal activity that the police are committing?
You can report that at the police station now.
Okay, that party was deprived of that right and was given a citation. That's not what happened.
We tried to help you now.
Okay. Well, reporting child abuse, I'm not an attorney, but what was done? Because not reporting suspected child abuse is a crime. So you tried to help. Was there an investigation for the child abuse report?
Objection, Your Honor. Relevance.
Sustained. Next question, Ms. Clark.
Okay. Okay, is it criminal to report police committing crimes?
No.
Okay. So, reporting a police officer committing crimes, where would you call to report that?
You can go to a police station to report that.
What if the police were committing crimes at the police station?
You can go to our headquarters and report it.
Okay. So for clarity, when a person observes a police committing crimes, they have no right to report crimes on the 911 call system. Instead, their constitutional right to report criminal activity is stolen from them, and then they have to go to police headquarters to report police committing crimes. Is that what you're stating?
Can you repeat your question, please?
Okay. So if police are in the act of committing a crime at a police station, a citizen's constitutional right to report police criminal activity is stolen, and they no longer can report the crimes to the emergency call system criminal activity. They're forced to go to police headquarters and report police committing crimes.
I do not understand your question, ma'am.
Okay, so as a citizen, 911, you cannot no longer report police committing crimes with 911. That right is stolen. Is it a crime to report police committing crimes on the 911 call system?
Ma'am, if you're already at a police station, you can talk to someone there.
Okay, if police were committing a crime at the police station. That's why I'm not getting clarity. If the police were committing a crime at a police station as they've done years.
Objection, Your Honor, relevant.
Sustained.
Okay, so I guess I'm closing up. Like I said, I'm not an attorney, so we have addressed that you believe that this police department, that reporting suspected child abuse that the police enforce is not an emergency.
Can you rephrase your question, please?
Okay, so to get clarity, reporting suspected child abuse that the police were enforcing, you're stating that that's not an emergency.
Not at the moment, no.
Okay, so child abuse is no longer critical to the United States. It's a crime for reporting it.
Objection, defendant was testifying again.
Sustained.
Thank you. No further questions for this witness, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Clark, anything further for Officer Ward?
Yes. Okay. So I just want to hone in on why is it no longer, because not reporting suspected child abuse is a Class A misdemeanor and sometimes a felony. Why would you deprive someone of their right to report that and then think that's not an emergency? Child abuse is an
Objection, Your Honor.
emergency.
Defendant is being argumentative.
Sustained. Ma'am, you ask one question at a time. You give the witness a chance to answer the question before you ask your next one.
Okay. Children, in my perception, have value. That is an emergency, reporting the abuse of a child. And not doing so is a Class A misdemeanor and sometimes a felony.
Sustained. Ma'am, this is at least the second time I've told you that this is only reserved for your opportunity to ask questions, and you've been making statements. Sustained.
State asks that her statements be stricken from the record.
That,
Okay.
that aside, yeah, will be stricken from the record.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Any further questions for Officer Ward?
Yes. Not reporting suspected child abuse is a Class A misdemeanor and sometimes a felony. Why would you review that as not being a emergency? And it's a crime to not report it.
Objection,
Okay.
Your Honor, relevant.
You may step in, Officer Ward. Thank you, sir. You're excused.
Thank you, sir.
Ma'am, you insist on not following the rules and making up your own and disobeying instructions, clear instructions from the court. All right, call your next witness, Ms. McGinnis.
Your Honor, at this time, the state rests.
Okay. The state having rested, Ms. Clark, you now have the opportunity to call witnesses, including yourself, but you're not required to. You have a right against self-incrimination. There is no burden of proof on you. You are presumed innocent, as I mentioned before. We got on the record, the state has the burden of proof of beyond a reasonable doubt. Please call your first witness, Ms. Clark.
That would be myself.
Okay, come on up
Okay.
here, please. Raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony about you before it will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God.
Yes.
Thank you, Steve. You may proceed now.
Okay, my daughter witnessed my false arrest and a task of screaming in terror. There's multiple parties that have committed crimes to sabotage my rights as a parent. I have went to CPS, they called the police to enforce it. Multiple parties that committed crimes to sabotage my rights as a parent have disappeared. The court, multiple conspirators in the court have made false statements, can't get their life.
Objection, Your Honor. Relevance as to, defendant's testimony.
At this point, I'm going to overrule the objection.
Okay, so my daughter has had physical abuse September 24, 2011, February 2018 from the party that she's living with, and she reported more abuse in April of 2019. And the police department refused investigation, as well as CPS and multiple other conspirators. I've been terrorized, denied law enforcement for ranging from guns being pulled on me, assault with a deadly weapon, trapped on trains, buses, hit and runs. My son was hit with a car, denied investigation for that. Someone hit me, prank calls, harassment, stalking, and that police department has denied me investigation for all of it. A large majority of that is trapped on camera footage, caught on camera footage, criminal mischief, interference with child custody crimes, multitude of reports they've ignored and denied investigation for, as well as multiple other police departments. I've been assaulted and arrested for sitting at a domestic violence support group on camera footage, denied investigation for that, assaulted at a hotel stay, harassed and terrorized by the police department. I want to be able to report crimes without being violated, assaulted, tickets given, depriving a citizen of their constitutional right to report crimes, even if it's law enforcement, is a violation of the Constitution.
Thank you, Ms. Clark. Any questions for Ms. Clark for Ms. McGinnis?
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Clark, on July 24th of 2022, you were at the police station located at 1999 East Camp Wisdom Road,
That's
correct?
correct.
And while you were communicating with police officers, you called 911, correct?
No,
You called 911 while you were at the police station, correct?
yes, but not while I was communicating with police. That would be incorrect.
Okay. So while you were still at the police station, you called the emergency number 911.
That's correct.
Were you physically injured at the time?
I was reporting the crime.
Ma'am, my question was, were you physically injured and needing assistance at the time you called 911?
I was emotionally injured for them reporting covering
Ma'am,
for
my
child
question
abuse.
for you were you physically injured and needing assistance from an ambulance at the time?
No,
Did you witness anyone else around you needing emergency assistance from an ambulance at the time?
no,
Did you see any type of fire or other kind of that needs an emergency vehicle assistance at the time?
no.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you, ma'am. You may step down and take your seat. Please call your next witness, Ms. Clark. Do you wish to call any other witnesses, ma'am?
I would. I would.
Who is your next witness?
Can I call the prosecutor?
No, ma'am.
Oh, okay.
She's not a witness, she's the
Oh, okay.
government's lawyer.
Okay. I'm not an attorney, so I'm doing the best I can. I can't get legal representation as I have to inform the court.
And I understand that you are not an attorney, and as you recall, we discussed before that there is no provision at this level of court for the appointment of an attorney. Okay. Calling no other witnesses, ma'am, do you rest? That means you're done with your side of the case.
I do want to, if I can look on my phone, because depriving someone of their right to report crimes, that is not valid, and I object to the questions about there's no emergency reporting crimes. Citizens have a right to report crimes, and if you take that party's right away to report crimes, that deprives them of their constitutional right.
That's an argument that you're making. That's not evidence, ma'am.
Okay.
Do you wish to call any other witnesses?
No.
Do you rest your case?
Yes.
Okay, defense having rested, what says the government?
The government requests to provide a closing statement at this time, Your Honor. That 1999 East Camp Wisdom Road, she called 911, an emergency number that is based on providing response to citizens when immediate action is needed. You have heard from our Officer Ward how false calls to this 911 number lead to a waste of city resources to provide to citizens who do need those resources. You heard how there was no emergency present. No one was physically injured. There was no unsatisfied with the service she was getting, and so she decided to call 911 in response when there was no emergency present. So we ask you find that Ms. Clark is guilty of knowingly calling 911 when she knew that there was no emergency present at the scene. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Clark, you have the opportunity to make what's called a closing argument. You cannot raise any new facts, but you can summarize the evidence that's already been admitted. Do you wish to make a closing argument, ma'am?
Yes.
Please proceed.
Okay, on the information that I have, you can make a 911 if there's a fire, someone has passed out, someone's sick, someone is choking, and a crime is happening. You're able to call the emergency call system. If time it comes to being to where calling in a crime that the police are committing becomes a crime, I think that could possibly be a threat to national security. If a citizen is stolen, her right to report crimes that the government's behind becomes a crime. In addition to that, calling 911 to report criminal activity being committed at a police station. The police were not following protocol. They denied investigation ever since 2018 when my daughter witnessed my false arrest, screaming in terror, tampered with evidence, committed multiple felonies, and even detained me out of malice to enforce their criminal behavior. I think when we get to that day and age when reporting criminal behavior by our government becomes a crime, I think we're all in jeopardy. And evidence of that is me reporting their criminal activity and getting cited. Not in addition to that, this isn't the first time. It happened at other locations. So it's a pattern of behavior when people deal with their corruption by citation and cover-up. It's illegal.
Thank you, ma'am. Any rebuttal by the government?
Yes, Your Honor. No one here is trying to claim that Ms. Clark does not have an ability to report a crime. No one is saying that. What we're saying is that city resources need to be handled correctly. 911 is an emergency line for reporting emergencies that need immediate action and attention. When Ms. Clark was at the police department, there was no emergency present, and yet she knowingly called 911, wasting city resources. And that is why we ask that you find Ms. Clark guilty.
Thank you. Okay. Having heard and considered the evidence and the arguments of the parties, my ruling is this. Ms. Clark, I get that you're frustrated, emotionally upset, not pleased with however you took the reaction of the police officers at that substation when you were trying to make your report or when you made your report. And there are avenues to deal with that. proper avenues to deal with that. Calling 911 is not one of them, not under these circumstances. I find the state has proven its case beyond a reasonable doubt. I find you guilty and going to assess a fine of $350 plus costs. Are you able to pay that today, ma'am, or do you need time to pay?
Can I appeal it to a higher court because the crime is being committed right now here? Because depriving someone of their right to report emergency situations, child abuse is not giving me that right to report that is the deprivation of my constitutional right.
You have the right of appeal,
I'd like to do that because I think crimes
I
are being
understand
committed in
that,
this
ma'am.
courtroom.
but I need to know if you need time to pay it.
I wanted to appeal because I think crimes are being committed in this courtroom. Taking my privilege away to report criminal activity because it's law enforcement is a deprivation of the Constitution. Child abuse is not allowing me to report that as a crime. And you're not holding that officer responsible for doing so.
Okay, I'm entering an order giving you 60 days to pay the fine.
I wanted to
costs.
appeal it. I'm not being heard.
Understood, ma'am.
Okay.
I understand you have a problem following rules. I understand you want to do whatever it is you want to do, no matter what anybody in authority tells you. That's what I've gotten from your attitude this afternoon. You have repeatedly interrupted me. I thought I made myself clear, but perhaps I didn't. Do I need to make myself more clear on that issue, ma'am?
No, sir.
Okay. I'm entering a judgment of conviction which will give you 60 days to pay the fine and costs. You have the right of appeal. To begin the appellate process, you must file a written motion for the trial within 10 days of the court's order. It's laying out points of error, legal issues, not just a mere disagreement with the results. You also may wish to consult an attorney about your right to appeal. If you do not file a written motion for the trial within 10 days of the court's decision, the judgment becomes final. I'm going to print out a copy of the order and ask Officer Critter to give it to you. Now, to get the 60 days to pay, ma'am, you need to take this downstairs to the first floor of the clerk's office, where the windows are that you passed to enter the building when you went through the security line. Okay, ma'am, you are free to go. Good luck to you.
You did tell me to wait. Can I talk?
The hearing is over with.
Oh, well, you told me to wait to find out how to report child abuse since the United States have deprived me of my right to report it,
Right.
and it has now
You're
become a
ready for the
crime.
sworn testimony.
So how would I report the child abuse?
Based on what the officer told you, ma'am.
It hasn't, they won't investigate it for years, so if it becomes a crime for me reporting child, or the court depriving me of the right to report child abuse, I don't know how to report it.
Come on, the judge is done.
I don't know why the United States would enforce child abuse. I thought that was a crime.
Ma'am, come on.
I thought you,
Can I
why isn't that a crime for me not report suspected child abuse? And you guys, aren't you guys doing a crime right now? Let me report this. Because I don't understand why I would be bullied trying to leave the courtroom.
Ma'am,
You-
because court is closed. That's-
Right, but I mean, I never saw someone get bullied trying to leave the courtroom.
We're not bullying.
I don't even know why you need to escort me out. I thought it was a crime for you not to report suspected child abuse. I don't see anyone else getting escorted.
Ma'am, court, you're the only one up here.
I don't appreciate being escorted out. I'm not asking for that. You're a marshal? Don't you have a responsibility to report child abuse? Isn't that just appalling? When you call 911 to report that police are enforcing child abuse and then you get citated and the judge won't report it, that's crime. As well as what you're doing now, that you're committing a crime. You have a responsibility for reporting suspected child abuse. It's a Class A misdemeanor, in some circumstances a felony. And to intimidate someone for reporting child abuse is a crime. As well as citating them, giving them a citation. I didn't ask for you to walk me. This is harassment. What you're doing is a crime. I'm not asking for you to walk me. This is a crime. You guys have no right to walk me. I haven't done anything wrong for you to try to walk me and escort me to my location. This is abuse. I don't want you following me. I haven't done anything wrong.
Remember he said go to the window so you can get set up for your, that's why I'm down here to help you, ma'am. I don't want you to leave and not get set up. He said go to the windows and get set up for your payment arrangement, remember? See, you forgot that.
You were too busy bullying me. Because you have a responsibility to report suspected child abuse, and you guys have been doing it years for committing a crime. I keep repeating that it's a Class A misdemeanor, and what the judge just did was a crime too. I don't understand why no one's doing anything about this.
Here you go, you're gonna take this to the window. They're gonna call you up, get set up.
If I'm appealing it, why am I getting set up for a payment plan?
They're gonna explain it to you in the window, that's why.
Yes, I'd like to know my rights. The judge just committed a crime, and then he covered for suspected child abuse. And I cannot get law enforcement. Multiple parties are not doing their job responsibility by reporting suspected child abuse. And the judge in Court 11 just committed a crime. And they gave me a citation for reporting government officials' criminal activity. That's why I'm here. So the judge covered for child abuse. He will not report it. They gave me a ticket for trying to report it. I'm not quite sure what to do because I believe a lot of parties are out of control. He has a responsibility, and by him not respecting child abuse, suspected child abuse, he just committed a criminal crime. That's criminal.
Okay, let me let you talk to somebody that can help you a little bit more.
Yeah, they're appealing that, but my major concern is about a child that the government's been enforcing their abuse. I have a YouTube channel with evidence of that. So I'm not quite sure if they try to call to give me a citation for reporting government officials' crimes, and then this judge commits a crime by not reporting the abuse at a court hearing.
Jose, ven, por favor.
Now serving me.
Let me give you my YouTube channel because, parties have responsibilities in reporting this criminal activity and they're not doing their job test. And not doing so is a crime.
Okay, you can talk to him and let him know what you're trying to do.
Yes, here's my YouTube channel. You can have that, ma'am. And then you can give it to him. The judge just committed a crime. The United States is depriving me of my right to report child abuse. I'm here on a ticket for reporting child abuse. They were enforcing CPS, and a multitude of parties are enforcing my daughter's abuse, which is criminal. So I need to escalate above him because he just committed a crime and he needs his charges.
So are you trying to report it or?
Yeah, I'm trying to report it, and then I need to appeal it because he's committing a crime at that court. You can't deprive someone of their right to report child abuse out of corruption, and they've been doing it. I'm sorry?
Do you have that citation number?
I have these papers here. You can give that to him. Especially as a judge, that's a crime. That's a ticket or whatever they gave me. Right, because he committed a crime. People need their charges. How do I report him? He just committed a crime as well as the police that got me here. So they gave me a ticket for reporting child abuse because they're enforcing it out of corruption. It's on my YouTube channel. So how do I report the government officials if they give me tickets and arrest me and violate me like they're doing a multitude of times to enforce their abuse? It's criminal what he just did. This child abuse is time sensitive. And that all the way was back into August and they've done nothing. That's a crime.
If you're trying to report against the judge, that'll be over at
No, I'm saying that my daughter has been trapped in child abuse. And the government is enforcing her abuse.
No, I'm talking about if you want to
I'm not being heard.
the judge.
How do we report child abuse today?
I'm not sure. That wouldn't be here with us.
I was given a ticket out of corruption, and the judge just committed a crime and covered for it.
But if you're trying to report the child abuse, they wouldn't be here with us.
Well, here's the
If you're trying
thing,
to
that they gave
report-
me a ticket out of corruption for reporting it.
That's why if you're trying to report something against the judge, then you'll have to send a letter over to the city.
How do I report a crime right now if they're giving me citations and cover up?
If you're trying to report a crime.
Yeah, if I wanted to report, because it's time sensitive,
You
if
may
the
go over
judge
to
cover
the
for.
DPD headquarters.
Okay, so if the judge just committed a crime right now, the only place the resolution I have is going to DPD and reporting the crime that the judge just
we
committed?
don't do any reports here, ma'am.
Okay, so you can't give me any referrals for
No, ma'am.
judicial misconduct or anything like that? You don't have any information on that?
No, we wouldn't have
Yeah,
that.
people have been getting away with a lot of chaos for years. You'll see it on my YouTube channel. Check it out. So if I appeal it, I want another judge because he just committed a crime.
Oh, that's fine, but if you're trying to appeal it, I can let you know what it'll be today and what steps it'll be. You
Okay.
can start for it, okay? So, 431 times 2.
Can you spell that judge's name? Because it's not on this paper. Okay, how do you spell his name?
Acuna.
Acuna.
Yeah, cool.
Okay. Cool. You have a responsibility with certain job titles to report suspected child abuse. If a judge in the police department cited me out of corruption for reporting my daughter's abuse, that's sick. So with your job titles, you have responsibility. You can see it on my YouTube channel. We're all in jeopardy when our government gets that corrupt.
All right. So those would be the first steps, the fees to get started on the appeal.
Okay, it says right here that it's $350 plus an $81 court cost.
Yeah.
Now it's $1,200 now.
Yeah, when you're trying to appeal for it, it's double the amount of the fine, which in this case, you are correct. The fine is $431, but in order to appeal, it would have to be double the amount. So it's just that I think 862.
You did it.
Okay.
The 862.
So, I mean, the government's been railroading me for a long time. I don't have rights. I haven't had them for years. And robbed me, stealing attorney general child support payments out of control, and nothing's done. I mean, the corruption's too strong. They've gotten away with even more extreme chaos than this. There's no need to appeal it. I can't go above the corruption. Everyone's corrupt everywhere I go. So just go ahead. I'll just set up the payment plan. I have no rights.
All right.
Felonies overlooked. I mean, all kind of chaos, extreme events just overlooked for years.
Gotcha. May I see the order that the judge gave you? One more time. You said it'll be the other one.
So nowhere to report misconduct, and it doubles. You don't have any avenues. Just let the government continue to violate and mistreat me with no
Our court
consequences.
building only handles Class C misdemeanors, like say Class C, which is like say no insurance, driver license, speeding.
The problem of it is I can't get the government to stop committing crimes.
Yeah.
You have just
Sorry.
heard me say
Sorry
that
to
the
hear
judge, I got a ticket for reporting child abuse, and the judge covered for it and condoned it and committed a crime himself. And there's no avenues for me to get law enforcement or consequences for these crimes. That judge just committed a crime, and they have been for years, and I can't do anything about it. Total for the 60 days?
60 days.
What would be the total?
The 431.
431.
Okay. And there's nowhere I can go report this crime and being defrauded out of money by the government, period.
DPD.
At all. Just keep on letting the government violate
You may
and
go to
mistreat.
DPD, ma'am.
DPD is the only location I can go to report corruption.
That's where they'll do a report on it.
That's why I'm here. They
Don't
cited
be
me.
with us here. Like I said, the only thing we handle here is Class C.
I mean, so this is a court, and you have no education on how to refer someone that is where there's judicial misconduct.
I'm not an attorney, so I can't advise anything.
But you did advise me to go to the police department.
I can tell you to go to the department. That's where you can file a report.
You don't have any documentation, any information, any literature.
No, ma'am.
They haven't for years. That's why they keep getting away with the chaos.
And that's the form that you signed right there, agreeing about the 60-day extension for it.
Okay, thank you.
Finally, have a good one.
You too. Watch that, because if they are allowed to do this to me, who else will it happen to? I tried to report the government's corruption before COVID, and I wasn't hurt then either. It's on purpose. That's who's setting it up, the government. They wait to do it. They have cameras. Harassment is a crime. And I haven't even left the court and they're still doing it.
Take exit 47 for 2nd Avenue.
Okay, this is just a video diary. I have the mask on. I guess the realization is that, you know, I keep thinking that I'm going to be getting that I'm going to get treated like a human being. The government has made it painfully obvious that I just really don't have a lot of value to them, as well as a multitude of other people that witness this chaos and do nothing, including at churches that condone it. So, you know, I've tried.
Take the next right onto Lipscomb Way.
And, you know, I just have to wait to see what they come up with. I can't get housing. So whatever scheme they come up with, they've schemed to deprive me of several vehicles. You know, so I don't know what they have in store. It's just a video diary. Scam money with the Attorney General, rob me of funds with that. Scheme so I can't get the stimulus. Getting away with it. Years. They do things like this. I've tried to report it. On purpose. I showed it to the police and he covered for it. I said it's dangerous for these people to keep this. I'm just going down the road. It's like a Grand Theft Auto movie, but it's a game, but it's real. But anyway, I tried to report to the police. I said these people purposely walking out into the car to startle me and do all that is going to cause, you know, that's not safe. Do something. And they covered for it. That was in Tyler. So they have enticed people to walk in all kind of, this is a lot of things that I can't report. And, you know, so they entice people to walk into front of the car to startle and hold up. What if I don't see them and they get hit? They get homeless people and people like that to be enlisted in this harassment scheme. Why would the government enlist people that are financially strapped to commit crimes with them? Homeless people, have them jeopardize their life just to scare me? Trapped on camera footage at Salvation Army and the police covered for it? Because a lot of people were doing it. This is what I can't communicate. And in addition to the cars, people walk out in front of the car on purpose. Get it right time. I start. Okay, now this car sped up. The other one wouldn't let me over, and this car sped up to prevent me from getting over. What's abnormal is that their cars stop on the side of me when I'm trying to get over. Okay, I get game stopped, and then when they see my blinker on, they stop and prevent me from getting over. So they hold up traffic and they completely on the other side, trapping me from getting over. Then I pick up my tablet and try to record it, and then they finally go up. They deliberately wait till I have my blinker on, stop on the side of me, forcing me to mix exits and all kinds of other things out of malice. So I'm not safe anywhere. It's not normal for a car when you're trying to get over to stop purposely to prevent you from getting over. And then you speed up and they regulate their speed according to your speed to prevent you from getting over. Anyway, I've been driving a long time and it's odd. It's not normal behavior. That's how I know that they're doing it deliberately. And like I said, these crimes were caught, police refused to investigate it. Like right here. And they immediately moved up. They have already caused the accident. The car got over in this right lane and then got over on me when I was getting over. Never mind.